Hey everyone, welcome to the Highest Version Podcast. I'm your host, Philavong, and on this podcast, we talk about falling in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. And solo podcasts are back. I am so excited to reintroduce solo podcasts because it gives you guys a chance to get to know about me and how I'm becoming the highest version of myself on a daily basis or monthly basis or weekly basis. We'll see how this goes. This also gives me a chance to work on my yapping skills with you guys. It also gives you guys a chance to hear more stories and more of things that I learned and more of my thinking process outside of those episodes with my guests. Now, you guys aren't just going to hear me yap about, what food I ate or what I did on a random Tuesday. There will be life lessons in each of the episodes and what we can do to keep moving forward and to become the highest version of ourselves. So let's get to it. So today's topic is about reflections of 2025. Now, there have been so many amazing things that have happened last year, and I want to share them with you guys and the life lessons that I learned from them. And the first milestone I want to talk about is graduating therapy in February of 25. If you guys have just started to follow me or just started listening to episodes, I've been in therapy for about 6 years. 6 years of learning new habits and tools to increase my mental health and unlearning all those self-sabotage ones. Now, the reason why I got into therapy in the first place was in about 2019, 2020, I was having very depressive and suicidal thoughts about just a lot of my own self-worth. There was a lot of heavy weight of shame and mostly shame around actions and decisions that I made in my past that have hurt people that I cared about, which made me to believe in my own perspective that I was alone. Basically, the whole umbrella of it, the negative thought that was bringing me down to rock bottom was that I'm not enough and that I only hurt those that are around me, which made me think, okay, I don't need to be in this world. And there are so many things that I learned from therapy, specifically related to cognitive behavioral therapy and how we have so many of these distortions or ways of thinking that we are programmed into our brain or that we subconsciously think in a way that make us feel worse about ourselves or mostly just feel worse about ourselves, actually. And while I was in therapy, I was very intentional about my time because I wanted to get better. I wanted to not feel like I was a harm to other people and that I wanted to feel like the life that I was having was worth living. So as I was being intentional, I was asking for homework every single session to be like, okay, what can I work on? What can I work on? And follow up on my next session, which was every 2 weeks or every other week, depending on how early I was in, my state of mental health or how poor it was. So after 6 years, I finally feel like I am enough. That feeling is, I don't know. It's weird. I guess I haven't taken the time to really process it. I've always been moving on to the next thing. And the thing that happened or what led to me graduating therapy was my therapist was also very intentional as well. She was saying, okay, what are our treatment goals? What are our treatment goals? Because she wanted to make sure that, we are intentional with our time in our sessions. It's not like two buddies meeting up just to talk about, what's going on with life. She knows the reason why she was there and there to help me and ultimately changed my life and how I think. And oh man, it felt like a breakup. Honestly, it felt like I've built that relationship. And granted, that therapist I had was maybe 2-3 years, but it really felt like a breakup, like someone that, really changed my life. And now that they were leaving, but in a way it's bittersweet because, she can't hold my hand throughout my entire life about, hey, guiding me on a more mental state of mind, mental basis. The real test of therapy and see if it actually works is if you can take the things that you've learned and apply it on your own and apply it without having those therapy sessions. And right now I'm in the test. And so far, I feel like I'm doing good. I feel like all the tools that we talked about when I have a negative thought and how to reframe it and to see things from a very objective, factual level to help calm myself down, calm my anxiety, and making sure that I know my worth. And it's kind of crazy, to be honest, because myself 6 years ago would be such in a frantic and really letting my negative thoughts consume who I am. But after therapy, it's like muscle memory. It's right after I had the negative thought, it's okay, what do I need to do to get myself to a level ground again? Do I really think I'm, whatever negative thought I was having? It's an amazing feeling to just be or just say with confidence that I am enough. Myself 6 years ago wouldn't believe about how much I fought, how much work I put in to ensure that I am okay mentally, and how inspired me to create this brand and really help people or inspire people to work on their own mental health. And just the feeling of graduating therapy. And again, there's quotations around graduating therapy because there is no formal process of graduating. Like I said, it's more of like, okay, like there are no more treatment goals at this point that I think I need to work on, and that it's okay to step away and see if I can go on without any guidance. And it's not like, hey, like, I can never see you ever again, but it's more like, hey, like, if you need me, at least from my therapist standpoint, it's like, oh, if I need my therapist again, I could definitely go back. But right now, I actually do feel like I'm okay for once. And that is a really, really good spot to be in. And just looking back and being so proud that I've gotten to graduate therapy and just try to deal with things on my own and see if I can get through those mental, hard obstacles mentally. So the major life lesson here is to work on your mental health. Please prioritize it, whether that's getting it through a therapist or, looking at articles or other resources to work on your mental, whatever that is, making sure that is an importance of putting a importance of your health as much as your physical health, because, without your mental health, your physical health can't operate in the same type of manner. So focus on your mental health, guys. Please, please, please. Now, the second milestone of 2025 is starting my fitness journey seriously. Shortly after graduating from therapy, I quickly moved on to focusing on my own physical health and getting a coach in order to help me. Shout out to my coach, Steven Chen Fit. I'll put his link down below if you guys want to get a coach yourself. And I highly recommend it, especially if you guys are, just starting out, don't have that knowledge, or, don't have the energy to look at other resources, because having a coach can keep yourself accountable, and they have so much knowledge to help you on your journey that you can take, just like therapy, and, having a time where you can do things on your own. The reason why I started to, or thought about getting a coach, was because I've been lifting for quite a bit now, like a lot of strength training ever since I was in high school. I was involved in a lot of sports when I was younger, basketball, tennis, very, I would say, athletic, I hope. I would always, lift for the gym. And part of that was, that insecurity thought of, I'm too skinny, no girls like me because I'm too skinny, whatever. I just felt like I wasn't going anywhere. Like, I was lifting as hard as I could. The problem isn't lifting and getting to the gym consistently. The toughest part is the nutrition part of it. And I'll get into that soon. But the reason why I really wanted to get serious about it, because again, like I said, I was like lifting and I wasn't getting anywhere. So I felt at this point, I need some guidance. I need a coach to keep me accountable and to help me out on where I want to get in my goal. And my goal is to basically look like Michael B. Jordan. Now I know, I can never look like him or be as similar as him, but I wanted to really get that type of body, because that's something that I never thought I would be able to do. And for someone that's always been called skinny, or just called a stray of being skinny, not that anybody cared, but there was just this one event that happens, always that fucking kin event. But that one event where someone's like, oh, well, Randy's always the skinny one, so, whatever. I forgot what we were talking about. I felt hurt by that, because I don't think there's nothing bad about being skinny, but to me, like, I felt like they were calling me out for being weak. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to show you up. I'm going to show you that I can get to this body that I want. I've been working with my coach for a while now, about a year, and I've learned so much. I've basically been in a mass phase for a while, a bulking phase. For those of you who don't know what that means, it's basically putting on weight to build that muscle mass. And technically, I was supposed to do a cut, but I didn't do so well with that. I was supposed to go on a cut. I remember like maybe a few months ago, and I just didn't understand what to do. A cut is basically trying to reduce that fat that you've built from massing. I'm also not a fitness coach, so this is from my perspective on what it is. But you hear the word bulking and cutting a lot with bodybuilders. Bodybuilders go on a bulk to build muscle and then cut to get ready for that competition that they're working on. Anyways, I tried to do a cut, and basically I didn't do it well. I didn't get enough steps in. I didn't basically lose enough pounds. I didn't eat the right foods. I was eating fats, and they were healthy fats, but it was still fats that was contributing to my basically not what a cut is supposed to be. And mentally, I was so pissed at myself because I was like, why couldn't I do this? Why couldn't I keep myself accountable? Luckily, my coach was saying, hey, let's look at this as a maintenance. We can try again in, a few months or so or whatever the next time, but it's okay. It just goes to show like my behavior of being so harsh on myself does not change. The thing that has changed was how I'm able to give myself grace and compassion for it. Unfortunately, at that time I didn't, but we're working on that. We're continuously working on that to make sure those practices always stay intact. So that failed cut story was something that I learned in my 1 year being my coach, and how technique is so important, and specifically how nutrition is so important. I don't care how hard you lift in the gym and all that stuff. No matter how much hard work there, you also have to work hard in the kitchen, because that's the thing that if you want to build muscle or build your body in a very aesthetic way or whatever it is, nutrition is super important. And I think that's why I was not either getting muscle or, not getting to the point that I wanted to before I had a coach, because I would just lift and lift and lift on a consistent basis, but I wouldn't get anywhere with, my weight or muscle. Like once nutrition was implemented and my coach is helping me out, calculate out my macros and giving me suggestions for food, that changed. And in that time, I went from 159 pounds in February 1st, 2025 to now 180 pounds in February of 2026. That is amazing because I didn't think I would even get to this point. And looking at my body now and comparing it, like I'm super grateful for my journey and I've enjoyed the process. It's funny because my fiance always makes sure that I don't forget how important it is on my own internal validation. We were talking about, the goals were 2026, and I said, I want to get to that Michael B. Jordan body, hopefully by this year. But she said, okay, once you get to the body, then what's next, right? If you still feel shitty about yourself and how you look, like you're never going to be proud of how far you have come, how far your body has changed and progressed towards the goal that you wanted. And that's so important to remember, is that no matter, changes externally, it always comes down to how you feel about yourself at the end of the day. And I know I've mentioned to you guys about, insecurity thoughts, for catching that stray about always being skinny. I still have those insecure thoughts, about how I look, how my body is, to make sure that I work on that. And that was something that was not a focus on in therapy. Most of the focus on in therapy was releasing the heavy weight of shame and feeling like I am enough. But in this fitness journey that I'm on now, I'm ensuring to make sure that I am kind to myself, kind to how I look in my body, because if I can't love myself, then all this progression with, fitness and weight is going to be for nothing in a way. I wouldn't say it's going to be for nothing because I know I have the capability to do it, but it's not going to make that reward even better. It's not going to make that reward feel a higher level of achievement. That's something I always keep in mind, is because I know those insecure thoughts will always be with me. And I need to ensure that my internal validation of myself along this journey continues, or else I'm always going to be like, okay, what's next? I need to get bigger. But, it really is focusing on making sure that mental part of this journey is taken care of as well. So the main lesson about this whole fitness journey is that nothing happens overnight. One of the first things my coach said to me is that, hey, I know you want to get to this goal of, looking like Michael B. Jordan, but this is not going to happen, in a year or 3 months. Like, it's literally like watching paint dry. I've always kept that in mind, because when we talk about consistency and doing things on a daily basis and building a routine, it's going to get boring and you're not going to see the results because you're always comparing yourself in the mirror or, whatever it is, comparing yourself on a daily basis. So you may not even see those incremental changes, but they are happening. So keep working at it, keep working on your goals, and don't forget to make sure to always prioritize your mental health, even if you are on a fitness journey, making sure to work on that internal side as well. So the third reflection that I have of 2025 is the pros and cons of being a content creator. Now, this past year, I was able to do a full year of podcasts and guests. And on the other side of this camera, as I'm looking up at it is all the guests that I've had. I call it my wall of fame, and they're all, just to describe it to you, just a wall of Polaroid pictures, with their signatures. And I'm just so happy that I have that many connections, that many people in my community that I can go to that were happy to come on the podcast and talk about their story. And I was able to learn a lot from them and even implement, what they take as their life motto or how they look at life and take that moving forward. Now, with those pros of being a content creator, I also had to go through the struggles of being a content creator as well. One of those struggles was burnout. Being a content creator isn't my full-time job. I work as an accountant for a biomedical device company. And after that, I take the time to edit and try to balance everything else in my life. So experiencing burnout was pretty often, making sure I get an episode every week, doing filmings, doing editing on my own. It was a lot for me mentally, and trying to navigate through that was tough. It involved a lot of, late nights and talking to myself of, do I really want to keep doing this? Like, do people actually care? Does anybody really care about, what I'm posting out there? Which led to me looking at the numbers of views and likes and just letting that determine my self-worth. That put me in a very tough mental state and whether I wanted to continue or not, seriously. But after reflecting and giving myself a lot of grace, having this be my first year of running my own podcast and, shooting other content besides podcasts, basically building a whole entire brand. I got to give myself grace because it's my first time doing all of these things. This is not something that I'm used to doing for 5-10 plus years, right? Now, the perspective of being a creator is about creativity at the end of the day. Creating things that you feel like you want to put out there and putting a perspective on your life and what you want to do. And that what a creator is at the end of the day is just your perspective of how you want to portray certain things. And for me, that's, inspiring people to prioritize their mental health, work on growth, be 1% better every single day. Honestly, I forgot the reason why sometimes because I was so focused on, the views and having that mindset of a first-time creator of why am I not going viral, overnight. And I had to take the time to realize the stories that people were talking about and my guests were talking about are inspirational, whether you think it or not. A lot of people that have come on are creators and entrepreneurs themselves, and they can take what they have learned in their process and share that with you. And that's what I want. I want these life lessons to be learned from people that, you may not know and just get inspiration of it and life lessons that you can take from it. Now, I'm super grateful about the community I've been able to build up to this point, and people have commented on, how I've been running the brand, being a podcast host. It's been super rejuvenating, and I'm super appreciative and grateful to hear that. I think I just got in my own way of well, if you say that and the views aren't aligning with it, then, why am I doing them in the first place? But the fact that I'm able to impact maybe even one person, through an episode, through my content, or make them feel something to inspire them, I think is more than enough for me. And that's the why that I need to stick to, besides just being a plain out creator and loving the process of creativity. And I feel like I compare it a lot to me as a dancer. Dancing has been one of my passions for a very long time, and creating choreos can be super frustrating, but once you're able to figure it out and depict the music and dance in the way that you want is super rewarding. So that's the mindset that I'm trying to take into 2026 and being like, you know what? I want to put this out there because I want to. And that's the mindset that I have to continue on. So the life lesson at the end of the day is do not let views, if you're a creator or someone on social media that has that has this fear of social media, is don't let those likes or views, determine your self-worth. Again, at the end of the day, it's your own internal validation that is going to make you feel like you are enough and is going to give you that empowerment that you so deserve. Now, another thing that happened in 2025 was me and my fiance's national park trip. Well, a little bit before that, I proposed to my longtime partner, and we took the chance to celebrate with a national park trip and going to Hawaii. The main point of this national park trip was hiking the Yosemite Half Dome hike. This is one of the most dangerous hikes in the US, because imagine a 14 to 16 mile hike that takes usually around 12 to 16 hours if you do it in a day, ascending up a mountain basically. But when you get to the top, almost to the top, in order to get to the tippy top, you have to climb on these cables that you are just literally up this like vertical wall of a mountain. Let me tell you, I never thought I could walk that long. And it was probably the hardest hike I've ever done, because I've had to fight through the pain of descending the hike, where my knees were pretty much felt like it was breaking every step that I took. Barely could walk. Didn't think I could actually make it to the car. It was just in so much pain. On top of that, I have a fear of heights. In order to get to the tippy top, you have to basically clasp yourself to these cables and walk up basically this vertical wall that people have died on, by the way. And I didn't want to be one of those people. And we got to the part where it's like called the subdome. So the part before you hike up the half dome, or the portion of the half dome. And I'm just looking at this vertical wall, and people are going up it, people that are older than me doing it. And I'm like, can I do this? Like, my fear of heights was kicking in. My fiance was fine with like, hey, like if you want to just stop here and go back down, we certainly can. And my head was racing. My head was like, what do I do? But there was a motto that I had in 2025, and that was to never wonder. And I didn't want to walk 6 hours, ascend on a hike of 6 hours, did all that work to just not go to the top. So I was like, fuck it, we're doing it. There have been interesting times in my life where I felt like my life was in danger. This was one of those times. Basically, we were clasping ourselves on these metal cables, taking like the, for class of, what's the best way to describe it? Like if you were to go climbing and you have that, the belt around you, like when you do rock wall climbing, you have that belt around your waist. And then instead of, obviously going up a rock wall, but you're clasping onto like these metal cables. And at this point, my legs are like spent, like they're exhausted, but I had to get myself and make sure I pull myself up this damn near vertical wall. And it's just like this slab of like rock granite that if you slip, like you're done. Again, like I said before, there's people that have died on this before, and I did not want to be one of those people. So in my mind, I'm like looking down, and when you look to the right or left, it's just like 10,000, 20,000 feet drop, whatever. It's basically till you're dead. I was freaking out, but I was like, you know what? I just need to look down and keep pulling myself up. My fiance, completely fine. Don't know how, whatever. My fear of heights, crazy. What's even funnier is that even we were pulling ourselves and up more and more. Once we got to the top, we were only up there for 10 minutes because I was like, you know what? I want to get back down. Going down was actually as much scary as if anything, because there are people that are trying to get by you, go around you, and it's not a lot of wiggle room. Okay, it's not a lot of room for other people to go aside. You have to coordinate and making sure that people are trying to get there safely, and it's tough. It's tough, man. It really pushed my fear and my limits to see what I can actually do. And I'm so glad that I was able to do it. My hands were hurting, my quads and calves and hamstrings were cramping, but I'm glad we were able to do it and just say that we did it. Am I going to do this hike again? Probably not, because of how strenuous it is. But I'm so glad that I took the chance, especially at my age, to do it. And it's something that I'll never forget. But not something I'll do again. So the main point of that national park trip is to really experience nature. Get out there, be one with nature, stop looking at your phone, and just be grateful for our national parks and take the chance to actually be in them and go on these hikes and really push yourself, because you are more capable than you think you are. So after our national park trip, we actually had it planned to be in Hawaii for a month. Now we got this opportunity because we were both fully remote workers, and just, if we can work in another state, what better state than Hawaii, right? So my day was this. I had to work on Eastern Standard Time still, or from 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. So basically working third shift. After that, because I was still on my fitness journey, still trying to grind it out, working out for another hour to an hour and a half. After that, grabbing lunch, getting food, and then going on a hike, a hike of our choice, or volunteering. Now, volunteering in Hawaii was an amazing experience because we were able to meet locals and also people that had the same passion to give back to the land and to the community. Through that volunteering experience, we were able to meet a very loving family, the Ringpest family. If you guys are listening to this, appreciate you. But we just had the same passion for hiking and got to experience laughs and just amazing presence from them. And they have this 4-year-old and 2-year-old that like are able to do these strenuous hikes, and it's just crazy to think that, you know, at their age that they're like, yeah, let me just hike and climb and do all that stuff. I was not doing that when I was 4 years old, let me tell you that. But just having the opportunity to meet new people like them, and getting to expand on that, you know, that relationship and continuing on with that, as well as having friends and family come visit us and get to experience, you know, trips with them, you know, in that month time span. And it was so surreal, honestly. And it makes us miss it every day, especially since after this freaking snowstorm of 2 feet of snow, definitely miss Hawaii right now. But it gave us such an opportunity to reflect and to be grateful for the opportunity that we did have to live out in Hawaii for that month, and getting to meet new people, getting to be involved in the community. And honestly, I felt like a dream. I felt like just a euphoric moments. And I cannot be any more grateful and appreciative to really just have that opportunity. And in that time, I actually got to learn how to surf, which I found out I'm not that great at. Granted, I only did it one time, and I'm pretty sure if I was still living out in Hawaii that I would have the chance to actually learn and pick it up. But the wife of the family that we met through volunteering, she like hikes Cocoa Head, which is like one of the well-known hikes, like early in the morning, or goes surfs in the morning, just like boom, 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 like constantly, like always like active and stuff. And, you know, it's basically like my fiance too. So we got along really well, but, you know, she was my teacher, and like I just wish I could, you know, do well in the first performance, but that's like my perfectionist type of mindset. It's my first time, and I can't not wait to go back to see if I actually can surf or not. So the main lesson there about Hawaii is to never wonder about things, to never say, what if I did this or what if I did that? Really taking the opportunity to capitalize on those things that you dream about or wonder about, because you only got one life, and you got to experience it in the way that you want to. Writing your narrative, writing your story. Just never let yourself wonder, because you're going to regret it. And I know there's things in my past that I have regretted because I've always wondered or taken too long to do. So whatever that is, or whatever that may be, as long as it's not harming yourself or anyone else, take that chance and take that opportunity. So guys, that was my reflections of 2025. So many amazing experiences to reflect on, and I couldn't be any more grateful for it. And I hope you're able to take a lesson from it, or something that inspired you to do that, whether that's start your fitness journey, prioritize your mental health, go to a national park trip, start content creation, or go to Hawaii. I just hope you guys are able to take something from this, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys soon. So without further ado, hope you guys enjoy this episode. And as always, let's fall in love with the process of getting better every day and become the highest version of ourselves. Love y'all.